Imagine a world where the outcome of the Korean War had been reversed, where instead of ending in a tense stalemate, the communist North had triumphed, steamrolling through the southern peninsula and seizing Seoul, Busan, and the entire region. No armistice, no DMZ, just one Korea, ruled not from a free and thriving south, but under the iron grip of Pyongyang. It's June 1950. The Korean War erupts as North Korean troops cross the 38th parallel, catching the South off guard. In our reality, the United Nations intervened. U.S. forces landed at Incheon, and a bloody back-and-forth conflict led to a ceasefire in night. But now, imagine a timeline where things went differently. The Incheon landing fails. American support is too little, too late. The Chinese army joins early and decisively. Within a year, the red flag of the North flies over all of Korea. The peninsula becomes the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in name only. In practice, it's a single-party dictatorship forged in the image of Kim Il-sung, who now stands as supreme ruler of a united Korea. The South's bustling cities, Seoul, Busan, Daegu, are absorbed into a militarized state. Their universities purged, media crushed, private companies nationalized, and dissenters either re-educated or disappeared. The economic miracle of South Korea, the Samsung skyscrapers, K-pop culture, global innovation hubs, never happens. There is no Seoul technology boom, no Gangnam Style, no Hyundai or LG exporting around the world. Instead, the whole peninsula stagnates, isolated from global trade. Its people are fed a steady diet of propaganda, praising the eternal wisdom of their leader, while living in a society cut off from reality. The global balance of power shifts. A North Korean victory emboldens the Soviet Union, which begins to view the domino theory not as a Western fear, but as a playbook for conquest. Southeast Asia tightens under communist influence. Taiwan's position becomes even more precarious, and the U.S., humiliated by its failure to protect South Korea, retreats into cautious containment instead of bold intervention. American domestic politics twist under the weight of the loss, and the Cold War becomes colder still. Meanwhile, Korea itself becomes a fortress, not of freedom, but of fear. The Korean language becomes a tool of indoctrination, its people conditioned to revere the Kim dynasty without question. Every village has a loudspeaker, every school teaches the ideology of Juche, and every child grows up in a world where history is rewritten, the West is vilified, and unity is enforced through obedience. But total control is never total. Beneath the surface, resistance simmers. The South had tasted freedom briefly. Underground networks begin to form. Young minds ask questions they're not supposed to. Smuggled radios pick up forbidden broadcasts, and by the 1980s, the cracks begin to show. Without economic growth, the regime struggles to provide even the basics. Famine sweeps through rural areas. The military drains resources. Black markets grow in the shadows. A once united Korea under the North now finds itself haunted by the same ghosts that plagued real-world North Korea: isolation, poverty, and paranoia. And then comes the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 1990s. In our timeline, this event isolated North Korea even further. But in this alternate history, it sends shockwaves through the entire Korean regime. Without Russian support, and without the industrial base the South would have provided had it been allowed to flourish freely, the unified Korea begins to fall apart. Protests erupt in Gwangju and Seoul. The military responds with force, but it's not enough. The illusion begins to shatter. Eventually, the regime fractures. The long-promised paradise of a unified socialist Korea reveals itself as nothing more than a prison with national borders. International pressure mounts. Humanitarian disasters force intervention. And slowly, painfully, a movement for democracy begins to rise. But the cost? Decades lost, generations of innovations silenced, millions of lives diminished under a banner that promised unity but delivered control. In this version of history, the Korean Peninsula was not a beacon of freedom and technological achievement. It was a warning, a story of what happens when a regime's ambition outpaces its compassion, when unity comes not through collaboration, but conquest. So when we look at the Korean Peninsula today, with one half wired to the world and the other locked behind barbed wire, we're seeing a split that's more than geographic. It's a split between what is and what might have been.